So hello everyone, and thank you very much for coming to our sort of final workshop of the Creative History series. And this one is going to be a kind of practical session, so hopefully everyone's got their glue sticks and scissors to the ready to get started. I'm really pleased that you could come and join us and to particularly think about what we might think about in terms of a creative history manifesto and what we might think about creativity and how we'd like to start the conversation going around creativity in the classroom. And I think it's really important now that, and I kind of use the word manifesto, I think, in part because I think it's really nice if we actually start to take ownership of what we mean by creativity, and that this is kind of like maybe a fresh and fun and dynamic way of doing that. Particularly if we're asking our students to be creative, then maybe we could use those creative tools as well to try and think about creativity in the classroom. And I also kind of feel like this is the perfect way in terms of the zine, in thinking about how we can disrupt kind of maybe the expectations we have of our students and actually start to push some of those expectations onto ourselves, in part because I really love the idea that this zine making exercise is going to be embodied as much as kind of mind based, but hopefully bringing in a touch of mindfulness as well. And it's sort of this sort of suggestion, and I feel really bad because I'm stealing this a little bit from Selena when we were talking about this in the conversation earlier. I think hopefully it will also kind of push us to move away from the idea of perfection and maybe think a little bit more about the concept of creativity and how to be playful and fun around how we develop that idea of creativity, the ways that we've sort of seen that coming through our project so far. So I don't know if Kath wants to add anything to that kind of letter.
I just wanted to say I was really struck when Jocelyn said I'm not creative, and yet you've been giving presentations as part of this series. So it's like, well, what do we actually mean by creative, and what that is a sort of response that we're likely to get from some of our students. I'm not creative.
Sorry.
So no, I didn't want to single you out, but I think that's really interesting, and I think it's about putting ourselves in the position of our students and thinking about how we create spaces, as Selena was saying as well earlier. I'm nicking again. So create spaces for creativity. Creativity is not something that we necessarily teach, but we perhaps give room to develop. And I think that's really important. And what we want from the manifesto as well, Lucy, isn't it? We want this to be something that develops. It's not about, we want a manifesto at the end of it, but it's a process of doing it is as important as the actual product itself at the end. So Jocelyn's got a hand up.
Sorry, I suppose I need to qualify first to saying I see myself as a creative knowledge worker, but not necessarily one who usually inhabits these creative type spaces. So this has been an awesome experience for me and a challenge to think outside my ingrained practices and thinking. So that's been an awesome opportunity. So thank you. And this is why I've been really looking forward to this. I also wanted to say that I've been also thinking since doing my presentation about the idea of performance. So I just wanted to see whether that was something that we do as educators in terms of our practice, but also acting as embodied representatives of more creative and playful play. I don't know.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks very much.
So just to sort of like set up the activity itself, and basically what we want is for a page to be designed by each of you that can go into the zine itself. And so we're only asking for one page, and it might be the case that you might need to do a little bit of sort of, some of it afterwards, but don't feel like you have to in many ways. But we do have kind of like some desires around it. We're hoping to sort of like publish it through a blog so that we can turn it into a PDF. And Selena is going to like design some of the kind of more kind of like the front cover and sort of like some of the sort of contextual side of it. So it also looks pretty as well and isn't being done by me and Kat. And we also kind of like would love to have kind of thoughts and ideas about what you thought about doing this, because we would really love to use this as a basis of an article that we'd like to do about kind of thinking about creativity and the History Manifesto and putting it together as well. And we'll be circulating a survey later on as well. But I don't know if Selena, if you'd like to introduce yourself now.
Hey everyone. Yes, so I'm Selena. My pronouns are she, her. I am a zine maker, that's why I'm here. I'm a textile artist, retail worker, workshop facilitator, and I've been making zines for over 20. I was going to try and do that, but we've just moved into another year, haven't we? So over 20 years, since I was like 16, maybe like 20, 21, 22 years, maybe more. A lot of my work centers around kind of like race, class, gender, sexuality, pop culture, and a lot of my work is kind of focusing on skill sharing and creating spaces to be creative, whether that is however you say it, whether you are creative with words like Jocelyn said. Cooking is a form of creativity. Organizing your home, you know, putting pictures on the wall, that's a form of creativity. Like everybody does it. Yeah, my whole ethos is like art is for everyone. And the idea that, you know, I've done a lot of youth work, and young people are told that like they aren't creative, or they don't do it in the right way, or they're not being taught the right way. And I think a lot of creativity is more about just giving someone, like Kath was saying, the space to find their creativity. And there's no right or wrong way to create art or anything like that. So I guess it's just unlearning what you've been taught and learning to embrace whatever it is you've got inside of you. And I think zine's an excellent way for doing that. They're like a really DIY kind of form of creativity that anybody essentially can do. And that is probably why I've been making zines for so long, and it is something that I always go back to. Before I start, has anybody made a zine before? Anyone know about zines or what they are? Or
I work in publishing, and I've worked at I've worked at the beginning of my publishing career in a magazine, for a magazine publisher. But I've also, when I was in Australia, attended book history, publishing related conferences and there are some amazing academics, particularly at Monash University in Melbourne, who are doing a lot of work in zines. So I know generally it's a very thriving place, creatively, practically, industry based, but also scholarly based. So that's all I know. Yeah.
has anyone read a zine before? Oh, Sam.
Hi. Yeah. So I remember reading zines as a teenager a little bit, and I use them in my work, in my teaching, because I teach a lot about feminist activism, and there's such politicized sources and such radical sources. So I often look at them as sources, but this is an interesting shift for me into thinking of it as something that I could be involved in creating. So I'm quite excited about that.
Yay!
I was just going to say that when I think of zines, I think of fanzines. So I think of like, I was once mildly involved in the Take That fanzine. But mostly I know that zine culture is around things like punk and stuff like that. But yeah, I sort of see them as a great way for, particularly as a teenager, if you didn't have access to that sort of publishing world, there's a way of circulating as well. So it wasn't just the fact about making it, it was the fact there's a relationship in the circulation of the zine as well.
Yeah. Oh my god, I can't believe you've had that admission already, Kath. I love it. Yeah, so how the session's going to work today is I'm going to give you a very potted history on zines, and then I'm going to show you how to make a one-page zine, which is like what you can do with one piece of paper, and then we're going to have a little discussion, and from that you're going to begin creating your page for a zine, which is a bit bigger than the one-page zine, but I always teach a one-page zine because I think if anybody likes it, it's a really good way to just start making zines. It's like if you do like a big zine, it's a bit daunting, but if you've got one piece of paper and like 8 sides to fill, it's a lot less daunting, and it's a really good tool for like having like a little notebook sort of thing, if that makes sense. If anyone's got any questions as well at any point regarding anything technical, zines, I can answer most questions except printing methods. That's where my skill set does not lie. But anything else, I think I pretty much know. Right, should we go? Let me see if I can share my screen. This is why I work in zines, because physical media is my skill set. This is why I sew and make zines. This one.
Yep, we can see that.
Cool. So let me start at the beginning. That was very good. So as I said, a very, very brief history of zines. So yeah, first and foremost, zines pronounced zines, so Z-E-E-N-S. A lot of people say Zine, but I always think of it as the end bit of the word magazine. They're essentially self-published magazines, or kind of any small press made with like a DIY, not-for-profit kind of ethos. I think the term, like what declares a zine, has changed over the years, especially in recent years. There's a lot of like kind of small press comics or books or chapbooks, or kind of magazines that aren't like big editorial pieces, or kind of smaller press that would be classed, people call a zine. But I always boil it down to, is it something that isn't really making profit and has come from more of a DIY, I think, then that's a zine. I think I did a workshop once where somebody said, if it's got a spine, it's not a zine, which again, because I guess like access to better quality printing methods has happened, that I do have some zines in my collection that do have spines, but yeah, they're a bit glossy and a bit more like highbrow, so a lot of people say they won't be zines, but yeah. But zines kind of started like nearly like 1900s, so the first appearance was like 1920s and 1930s, and they were made by like science fiction fans. So as Kath was saying, she knows the term zines from fanzines, which was basically if you're making a zine about something that you love. And a lot of these science fiction zines were about kind of like, I don't know, like life elsewhere, aliens and things like that. But the term fanzines wasn't coined until like the 1940s. So throughout the 40s and the 60s, it kind of then went on to incorporating comics as well, again, like kind of small press, football zines are still a really big thing today. I was saying a lot of people associate zines with like kind of more music and politics, but football zines are like a really, really big thing. And then I think that's when music started happening, I guess, like the birth of like the teenager and kind of rock and roll is what spurred like kind of music zines onto a thing. That's where I imagine zines that we kind of get inspiration from today and what people may envision kind of started around like the 70s. As Sam was saying, that with the birth of punk. So obviously that's when kind of politics started coming into it. So I guess the birth of punk and this rebellion saw a huge rise in music zines, that whole kind of cut and paste aesthetic. I guess people had, again, better access to printing methods that they had in previous decades. So a lot of people were sharing about like bands, you know, turning up at gigs with zines, kind of putting political things there, because I guess punk was so aligned with like kind of politics, it kind of came hand in hand. That followed through into the 80s with things like hardcore, which was like just a different version of punk. So again, kind of more zines growing up, people putting their beliefs in there as well as like their favorite bands. And then also there's kind of this sideline of like second wave of feminism with like kind of 70s comics, a lot of feminist comics as well there, kind of anti-war kind of pamphlets and things like that would be kind of distributed via zines. And then we hit the 90s, and I think this is like where I really got into zines. And again, this kind of, a lot of my zines still look like the ones that made then, because this is where I guess you saw a lot more women making zines, particularly the another musical movement called Riot Girl, which was like in the Pacific Northwest, in North America, where that whole idea of what came from the 70s, where the personal was political, that was put into zines. So again, it was about music, it was about taking up space, it was about feminism, it was about, I guess, finding like-minded people, because again, obviously before the internet, and how to get your message across, and find other people that were like you, and you know, let people know how you're feeling. As with everything, I think a lot of physical media kind of died down once the internet became a thing, and I think a lot of people moved to like kind of blogs and e-zines, so there was less kind of like the printed matter, and people would still say they were making zines, but they would be in like a digital format. But I have found that maybe not the last 10, no way, probably longer than 10 years, maybe 10 years, that zines have really been growing. And in the same way, I guess, that vinyl has come back, a lot of people are really wanting that kind of printed matter, and zines have become so much more than a kind of stapled together, photocopied collection of paper. I've noticed that there's more zine fairs, a place where you can buy zines, more zine libraries, whether that's in like public libraries, academic institutions, people starting zine libraries around a theme that are like traveling zine libraries. A lot more kind of zines are within academia, a lot in kind of like artistic courses as well. A lot of people using zines to get their message across in terms of like their education, as well as what they kind of were always used for in the 70s and the 80s, which is like get their political message across. But yeah, zines like have got images there, they've kind of moved on. They are like fancy things popping up, color, you know, it's a lot of people use them as like an artistic medium now. But yeah, the reason that I think I love zines so much is because they are like a form of expression. But aside from that, to me, they've always been a tool for people that don't get their voice heard to get their voice heard, especially with like mainstream media now, and I guess like how the internet can be like this void where people are just shouting into it. I feel like people that are kind of from minority groups get to tell their story in their own voice. As I said, a lot of my work centers around like kind of race and class and gender, and often our stories are told to like a greater audience, but by somebody else. So you'll get stories about the working class, but they're told by like somebody who isn't working class, you know. Whereas I think zines are like an unfiltered way of you to share your story. They're like really joyful to make as well. Especially as I am the sort of person that just spend all day scrolling. And they're a really great tool as like a form of like archiving, again, voices of people that you wouldn't get heard, people that wouldn't normally have their work archived or their stories archived in any sort of way. Zines are a much smaller scale than other things, but they're a way that you can, you know, have someone's story told in time and have it preserved. In the same way that a lot of culture and traditions have, their stories are just passed on orally. And I think that's a really beautiful way, but I think that gets lost more and more in modern day with how fast paced it is. So I feel like zines is kind of making sure that things are getting documented. But yeah, I just think zines are great and everyone should make them. Has anyone got any questions so far? Does that all make sense? I am aware that I've probably talked to a lot of historians with my very brief history of zines. Yes, Andrea.
Hi, thank you so much for that. My question is about, you said, don't ask me about printing methods, but I want to ask you about what you don't know, because when you said that, I was really surprised, because I thought, oh, didn't everyone just use like, isn't it just Xerox, right? Like, and I'm just wondering, are there zines that you can think of that use more, I don't know, like, yeah, more esoteric kind of processes?
Yeah. Well, that funny you should say that. Also, I feel like I read an article once how someone was getting sued because I think especially in like North America, they'd use the term Xerox, and even then that came into my vocabulary because a lot of my influences were like zines from North America, and it was all like Xerox because they're a company, aren't they? And then I think someone got in trouble for being like, I'm Xeroxing it. It's like, you can't say that. But yeah, because I'm very, like you said, Andrea, I'm very basic. I don't even know how to use like a photocopier. I told you technology is not my thing. So I give it to somebody else and they photocopy it for me. But I guess especially in more of like a kind of eco-conscious world, people are looking at different printing methods. And one thing, I've got a collection of zines here, and this one, I don't know if it's pronounced risograph or risograph printing, which is a lot more eco-friendly because I think you just get like big drums of different colour. The ink's a lot more kind of more environmentally sound. I've got a friend of mine makes these beautiful zines. He's not been, you can't see it as well online, but basically how that works is you print a colour at a time. So you run it through. My lighting's terrible. And you print like one colour, then you'd run it through again and print another colour. I've never made a zine in this format because the idea of having to think about how one on that page I'd have to separate into different things. It's something I do you know, I'm going to do it this year. There you go. It's my resolution. But a lot of people use that. It's a really cheap way of printing as well, which often I think like usually fancier forms of printing kind of are a bit more expensive. Yeah, this is a beautiful zine as well because they printed the front cover on like kind of tracing paper or like not on acetate, it's not plasticky, and that gives that kind of look. So you can get really fancy with your printing methods. Some people also will do like, I guess like hand printed covers, like screen print or lino printing, and then there's kind of different forms of printing if you like an inkjet. But yeah, I don't know the ins and outs of printing, so that's why I'm literally like, I will take it to the copy shop and go, can you print this for me? Thank you.
Thank you so much. That's
all right. And in terms of zines, I feel like this kind of size, this is your bog standard zine, so it's like an A5 zine, and that is because it's made on a piece of A4 paper. I'll go through this a little bit later when we're talking about a one-page zine, which is like in the UK certainly is standard format in paper size, and then you can kind of like staple it, print it out, double-sided photocopy it, and staple it, and that's the easiest thing. As I was saying, there's one with a spine, that's a bit fancier. That one's about quilting. Often people make like kind of bigger ones, like kind of more magazine size. But I guess if you're looking for kind of a cheaper way, the A5 size is the cheapest method. You know, you can bind it with like ribbon. I've got a friend who used like Coptic stitch, so how you'd make like a book. My lighting is terrible, sorry. So you'd make are they called? What are they not called, Lise? I never know what they're called when you make your section together, like how a book is bound, and then she's sewn it all together, which she said it was really stunning, but then after a while she wished she'd never done it because it was so time consuming. So you can get as fancy and as unfancy as you like with zines. And as I said before, you know, a lot of my work centers around different things, but you can make zines about anything. I think that's another reason I like them, because I was saying football zines are really big. You can make zines about TV shows. You can make zines about your favorite band. Take that if you're calf and you really want to get into that. As much as I say I make zines about a lot of different things, I've made zines about craft. I've made a zine about crisps, which I think is like my most popular zine, because my favorite types of zines are like fan zines, so ones where people are passionate about something, and even if I'm not into the thing they're talking about, just seeing people's passion. And I unearthed a lot of people who love crisps while making this. So, you know, like I said, you can be all political and serious, but at the end of the day, you make a zine about crisps and people just love it.
That sounds so exciting. I hope that people love zine about creative history methods. So what we thought we'd do is, like, before we kind of like launch into trying to think about what our one page should look like, I'm going to share Oh no, I've been on mute.
Lucy?
I've been like the worst
Yeah,
person.
I was about to. I didn't know if it was just me.
Oh, okay, right. So I'll now try and remember exactly what I said. So I hope that everyone gets excited about our zine as much as about crisps. But I've just shared a link in the chat function to a Jamboard, and I'll also share it on screen as well, so I can talk it through to you, because like I know that some people haven't might not have used the Jamboard before, which I find shocking because I have used it pretty much the whole of lockdown teaching. So what we wanted to do initially is just to ask for about kind of 10 minutes whether or not you could answer some of these questions, and they might feel a little bit familiar to you if you came to the first session. But we would really like you to think about kind of like words that you think about when you hear sort of creativity and creative history, and what your thoughts and notes are about a manifesto or a manifesto zine. And obviously you can come back to this at any point if you want to be reflective about the process as we're moving on and making our own zine pages. How do you understand the creative history classroom and creativity as an academic skill? And feel free to pull in any prompts that came up from the workshops that you might have attended. How should we use creativity, and what appeals to you about creativity? And what do you think are the barriers that we need to be overcoming when it comes to teaching creatively? So hopefully you can see the zine page on your computer, and I just love it because you get to be identified by an animal, which is just always really fabulous. But if you're going to want to add anything, the easiest way to do this is to click on the post-it notes, and it'll come up in front of you, and then you can just write what you want to. It isn't very good at writing really lengthy things, so you might have to break down your post-it note, or you might have to think about being kind of like sort of writing in sentences rather than maybe paragraphs. But then all you do is press save, and you can move it around as much as you want to move it as well. And you can also add text if you wanted through the text box. The only reason I don't really like the text box is it's really clunky, and it can be really problematic in terms of sizing, which is why I think it's best to just use the post-it note function as well. But you can also draw if you want, because there is a pen. So if anyone's really creative in being able to draw, then please do. You're also more than welcome to add images if you want to, and I'll just quickly show you. So if we go to images. Oh no, sorry, I'll do it this way. So let's put creative in. You can just pick up the image, and you should be able to just drop it onto the she says then it doesn't work. Drop it onto the PowerPoint, and it hasn't worked, and I don't know why. You can just drop and drag it into the tab if you carry it over. Alternatively, you can add your own images if you want to by putting in the browse and link, and you can also do the copy function that you would if you were using a computer. So you can copy image and then carry it over by pasting it, but you need to do it with the shortcuts on the computer, Control V to place it onto the screen. So does anyone have any questions, or are people kind of happy to kind of get going with it?
Are we just going to have about 10 minutes or so, did you say,
Yeah.
Lucy?
And feel free to you can also feel free to natter as well. Don't feel like you have to be silent as you do it. So feel free to unmute and chat. And we were going to put people into breakout rooms, but we realized that Teams was not made for breakout. So that is the reason why we're not putting you into a breakout in various groups. So yeah.
I think it's quite nice to do it together.
Hi, sorry, I had one question that I just put it in the chat, but I figured I'd unmute since it's quiet. Should we keep going through the Jamboard? I wasn't sure how far in to go through the different pages.
Well, I think perhaps because we've now been working for about 10 minutes, maybe we could, I don't know whether or not people want to do this collectively or separately, but I would really love if we could like now perhaps move on to this question about what should be the principles of a creative history manifesto. And I don't know if we want to talk about it, or alternatively, if people want to put their thoughts down and then we can like unpack them a bit like we would in a seminar, rather than like launching into like making people feel uncomfortable. But yeah, maybe heading to slide 6, about what are the principles. And I should also just note as well, like I haven't, we're not asking you to do 18 slides worth of activities, by the way. Towards the end, I also put up the illustrations that Josh had done. So if anyone wants to kind of look at the illustrations that Josh did to spark any kind of like sort of principles or thoughts or motivations that we should have around the manifesto. So yeah. So we've got some really great points here, and it's really fun to kind of see some of these coming out. I suppose the question might be, and because I don't want to be bossy, is like, do we want to create a zine page that kind of responds to the point that we've made here? Or alternatively, do we want to think about kind of like sharing some of the kind of these sort of points, or maybe they've just sparked some kind of ways in which to approach your page. But I wonder whether or not we should just start getting creative, actually. So Selena, I don't know if you want to kind of start us off on our one-page journey.
Yes, I will. Thanks, Lucy. Yeah, I think as well saying, so I'll show you how to do a one-page zine, and then we'll spend like 5 minutes just jotting down something in that, and then that might then give you an idea of what we want on our actual singular page that we're going to create. I'm going to share a video again where it is still me talking but in a different format. So I'm trying to break up, just me waffling at you. This is like a little video that I created that shows you how to make your one-page zine. So before that, if you have got a piece of paper, so like A4 is great. If you've got bigger, then that's fine. But if you have that to hand, we'll watch this and then I'll go through it step by step as well.
And just to remind you to put the sound on.
Yes, thank you.
Hello, I'm Selena and I'm going to show you how to make a one-page zine. A zine is basically a self-published magazine that can be about anything and made by just about anyone. So let's begin. You will need paper, scissors and a pen. First of all, fold the paper in half lengthways. Then in half again. Unfold and then fold the outside edges in towards the middle. Unfold the paper fully . Take your scissors and cut a line down the centre crease from the centre fold. Fold in half lengthways again and then pull the opposite edges away and fold it into a book shape. And now all you have to do is fill your zine with great ideas. And there you have a one-page zine.
Hello, I'm Selena and
I think it's frozen a bit. Don't worry.
Did that work all right then?
It froze a bit towards the end, I think. So I got the basics of it, but it just froze a little bit. So
Yeah.
maybe if we just, you said you were going to take us through it anyway. Yeah.
No, don't worry. So yeah, so you've got your piece of paper.
Yep.
And if you fold it in half, what I call lengthways, so your two longest sides together to create like a long rectangle. And then you're going to fold this in half again to be the two shorter sides together.
I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch that. It like fold it like that.
Yeah, just Lucy. So you get your two shorter sides. I like to point out as well that I've made hundreds of these, and paper folding is not my forte. The mine are never neat. I know people always stress going, oh, they don't last I've made so many and then never need, so. You open it up, you'll have like your centre crease, and you're going to bring your 2 outside edges into the middle again. Also, I'm folding in mid-air, so like that. So you fold that one in.
Okay.
You've got like little doors like that. Like you've done it right. If you open it up fully, you should have 8 sections on your piece of paper, and that's when you know you folded it correctly. Cool. Then you fold it in half again, but widthways, so the 2 shorter sides together this time. And then, so the edge that's folded, you've got that crease down the middle. You're just going to cut from the folded edge to the centre point. And you know you've done it right because it's like a little beak. I think sometimes people call this like a beak fold. Let's see. Right, so Lucy, I think you folded it the wrong way. We'll go again. What else? Anyone else? Anyone else trying to show me your beaks?
I've lost the beak. Like I don't know where I'm supposed to cut. So I've got the thing in half, but I'm not sure where I'm supposed to cut.
Andrea, your beaks are on point. Yes. So
right, yeah, I think I've got it now. Yeah.
No, yeah, will work. Yes, Jocelyn, I've realised you've just folded it lengthways. Yes, it will work. Yeah, so it's the edge that's folded down to the centre. So it looks kind of, yeah, that's it, huh?
Yeah.
Then the folding bit's the trickiest bit. So what I do is I fold it in half again. So I've got this little diamond shape. And sometimes I stand it on the table, but in the air, you're just pushing those towards each other. And then you fold it around. Like that. Let's do that again. Do like this. Fold it in half. You've got a diamond shape.
Yeah.
And you fold it around, and that creates like the booklet format. Yeah. And then just bring it around so you've got like more in a book shape. That's it, Andrea. So then how it works, that front page, just do some quick stamping.
Sorry, how do you get from this bit?
That just keep pushing it, Jocelyn. That's it. And then bring it round. So like just fold it all around together.
Justin, I just managed to do it, which is amazing. I'm sure you will.
Let's see, Lucy.
Oh, I've done it lengthways, damn it.
Yes. Oh, Christina, yeah, that's perfect. Have you done your cut yet, Lucy?
Oh, I'm now back here.
Ah, right. So fold it in, open it up again.
Right. Yeah.
And then fold it in half so the 2 shorter edges are together.
What, like that?
No. So if you just bring in the 2 shorter edges together, so mine's already cut, but like this,
But like that.
No. 4p. Bigger.
Right, so I've got my piece of paper like this.
Yeah, just fold
Bring
it
your
in
two
half
hands together. Yeah.
Fold it in half
that way.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The middle line is your point to fold it in half.
So like that.
Open it up again. Let me get it. I'll show you.
Can you tell that I'm
So
dyslexic?
just hold it
This is
like
the
this.
worst thing.
Me too.
So your hands together, so just in half, as if it's to make it a piece of A5. That's the term I want, isn't it? Yes,
Well,
that's it. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then that crease in the middle from the fold, you're going to cut along there.
So like here.
Yes.
To the centre. Yeah.
Yeah.
How far to?
To where
The
you the crease is, yeah. Keep going. Yeah, that's it. So
it's like that.
Yeah, you got your beak.
yeah.
Yay.
And then fold it down.
Fold
And
down.
then just keep pushing it together.
Oh,
That's it.
something's happening like this, yeah.
Yes, and then keep pushing it. And then
Yeah.
just fold it on in itself. Yes, yay, perfect. That's it, Lucy.
Well, like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
The idea is that so when you've got your zine, you've got all your kind of pages there, so you can just print it on one piece of paper, and then when you fold it around, so it's the easiest thing to like photocopy. Not even double, you can just do it. You can do it double-sided, but if you just do it single-sided, and then you just fold it in that same method, and that applies with any size of paper. So obviously Jocelyn's got like a bigger piece, but you can make like mini ones. I don't know if you can see these because they're so tiny. I love anything that's oversized or miniature. It's just great. So yeah, you see like any size, but the folding method is the same.
Yeah.
You can work on it in this format. So you'd have your cover, and then that would be page 1, page 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then your back cover if you wanted to. So within your mini zines, you've got 1, 2, 6 side pages. So just the next 5 minutes, if you want to take things off the Jamboard or any key sentences that you've said or anyone else has said, and kind of like, or anything you've learned over the sessions over the past couple of months, kind of 6 key points that you think you'll take forward into the classroom with you. We can decide from there whether you want to keep all those points for the manifesto, or we each want to concentrate on one that really resonates with us.
So is that 6 pages plus the front page?
Yeah, so you've got your front and back cover, so it's 8 sides.
Oh, right.
But
1, 2, 3,
Yep.
4, 5. Ah, yeah. Okay, right. For a moment, then I actually thought I folded it wrong.
We do folding paper techniques in our publishing thing. So this is amazing. Thank you so much for teaching me how to do this. This is just
oh, that's all right.
I love it. I love it.
What as well is after the session at some point I'll send loads of resources through to Lucy. So that is like a link to the method. Obviously it's quite UK centric, but there's some stuff online as well there. So if you want to like delve into like the world of zines a bit more, then you can do.
Because I'm actually next semester teaching magazines, and we're doing a week on zines, so that would be really helpful.
Perfect. Yes. And as I said, I think with the 1-page one, you've got, like I said, like 6 pages, so it's like way less daunting than trying to make like a whole big zine.
Awesome. I love it. Thank you.
How are we getting on? Have we got some points written down? I'll give you a couple more minutes and then we'll share what we've got. And then we'll get back to just sticking things down because that's the most fun bit. Okay, does anyone want to share what points they've got?
Yeah, I can do if nobody else is doing it. So mine was play. So very much wanting something on play. And also being together in a space and it being embodied. I kind of put those two things together, it being embodied but also being in the space together. I had accessible and inclusive, can't really see. It's not unacademic, it's part of the academic learning. And I really liked the process. It's about the process and not just the product. I could have put all of them down, but those were the ones that I sort of really focused on.
I read that on the Jamboard. I really liked that. The product. Yeah. I feel like the it's not, and I think that I was thinking about in terms of zines. It's to a lot of the time, especially there's like a subsect of zines called perzines, which are just like personal zines, like kind of diary, or I don't know, like what have I done today? What did I have for my dinner? Like that sort of thing. And I think that the process of that is probably a bit more valued than the end product. But yeah. Anyone else? What else have we got?
Well, I think because I want to think about the journey of history, the history of creativity, I thought that my first page will certainly like start off by this idea of not serious, and then kind of unravel that a little bit in sort of like then how the rest of the zine is going to sort of like play out, and this maybe idea of like, you know, creativity is developing brain power. So like critical thinking through creativity and creative thinking skills as well.
I was thinking more about doing history rather than learning history.
Yes, doing rather than learning. I like that.
I'll share. I'm just having so much fun. I've dedicated one page to the ideas that I thought were fun, and I feel like this would be such a fun thing to share with my students as a little like guide to what I think we're doing in the classroom. So this is awesome. Thank you.
That makes me happy. So in terms of the manifesto itself, in terms of your page, it's completely up to you, because there's no, well, some zines have an editor, but I don't. Yeah, I used to edit a zine. Me and my friends were the editors of a zine about class, but really we just collated the pieces and stuck them down. We didn't edit them. But yeah, do you think you'd prefer to, like, your page would be like your points of a manifesto, or you'd want to focus on one and collectively like different points?
I almost feel like in some ways I want people to develop their own rather than kind of like being dictatorial, because I think that kind of breaks the whole spirit of the zine. But I'm also aware that I'm asking people to do this, so it might be a bit like
I'm on that side, Lucy, but then I also want to be like, right, so now you've got to create an entire one page, and I want you to list 10 points for your manifesto.
Yeah.
I don't know, Lucy. Sorry, I was just going to say, I think, you know, it might be that you take one of those that you particularly speaks to you, or, you know, that you develop what is the most important thing for you, and then we can sort of bring all of those things together, and that be our manifesto, if you know what I mean. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah. I think it does. Oh, so I feel like we can now like finally break out our Pritt sticks and our points and our writing. So I don't know how you want to do it. Like we can, you know, I recently learned, and I know this sounds really stupid, but I recently learned that the phrase knitter natter comes from people nattering whilst they're knitting, because of the sound of the needles touching one another. So I don't know whether or not people would like to like get around the crafting table and be a bit knitter nattering as we kind of craft and maybe bounce things off each other.
Andy?
So feel free to unmute yourself, talk, and
whilst you're thinking, I'm going to show you a master copy of the zine. So a lot of my A5s, well, a lot of my zines are in the physical format. So you have like what you call your flat lane. I'm sure if people done publishing before, they'll know that. More recently, I've started to create the pages individually and then scan them in and compile it on Photoshop. But I actually really miss this format, but that's more of kind of an ease of sending it off for printing. But as I was saying, the reason A5 format is the most popular is because you build it all on A4. Zine, I did a group called WAST, which are in Manchester, Asylum Seekers Together, and they went to university and was doing some courses, and it was about that experience, and obviously them having no recourse to public funds. But how we did it was we worked on individual pages, so kind of how you'll be working on yours, and then they just created this A5 page, and then I collated it all together. And like a book, you have to kind of stick them down in the order that they'll be read, as opposed to the order that they run. The biggest thing when making an A5 zine is, I always say, as long as your pages are divisible by 4, then you're onto a winner. That's the hardest bit, remembering that you need to cover 4 sides of a piece of paper. But yeah, other top tips is that they didn't apply here, but you can scan it in and shrink it. But if you're wanting to be like super DIY, if you leave like a half a centimetre, it's like 5mm border around the edge, then nothing will get off if you're just doing basic photocopy printing. But yeah, I am not an illustrator. I don't particularly like drawing. That's why I've said to you all, get a lot of scrap paper and things. So collage is my friend, old wrapping paper, insides of envelopes, stickers, cut bits of magazines, cut bits of like work of your own. Yeah, typing things out, using stampers, using stencils, handwritten, you know, as I said, zines can feature anything. So yeah. Now you just got to think about your pages. Like the formatting is up to you. you want to collage it and just have like 2 words? Or do you want like points like you know, like you would in a manifesto? You feel like you need to explain what your points are? I don't know.
Lucy, does it make sense if people do like an individual page and then send the image to us and then we can put it together? Does that sound like the best way of doing it?
Yes, probably actually, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so. Like you said with Selena, with you had your group and they each did individual, or you had individual pages and then brought it together. I think that would
Yeah.
make sense. So if people want to focus on a particular point and then we can bring it together, and then that's the manifesto, so to speak. I think.
So yeah, maybe we should all work on one A4 piece of paper and then make
Yeah.
But this
Yeah.
is so great. I'm going to do this with my students. This is like, oh, although maybe I'm the worst person to do it with my students, seeing I couldn't do it the first time. But
you can.
Yeah, that was
I have these handy printouts that where
We've already
basically
got
the paper tells you the instructions as you go. Oh my god, yes, Jocelyn, what have we got?
I just love it. I'm creating my own little book, my own little zine. So I'm just having fun with a marker and pink and yellow highlights.
Yeah, and if you want to keep doing just a small zine, that's fine as well, because you can open it up and send us the digital, and then we can just like upload that, and it can be like a series of frames in them as well.
If nobody else is, I desperately want to do the one on somebody else put it through, but I'd love to do a page on the process, not the product.
Yeah, I think I think that'd be really good, especially because of your like kind of experience with lino making.
Yeah, no, I'm obsessed with doing it with all my failed prints. So if nobody minds me doing that, I'll stake a claim to that page. Sorry to the person who actually wrote it on Jamboard, but I've been thinking about it all day.
That's okay, it was me, you can have it.
Are you all right, Sam? You're okay with that?
Don't worry.
With the
what's everyone else's kind of like focus on their zine page? Like, have you got a focus or?
Mine's on disruption and messiness, if that's okay.
Ooh. Yes.
We like messiness.
That is
That's good.
I feel like that should be the new terminology for zines, though. Disruption and messiness. Like, if what defines a zine? Disruption and messiness.
So, I don't know if it's going to show up actually. There we go.
Oh yeah. If you just put, if you could pull it back a bit more and just.
Oh, beautiful.
Or, yeah. Anyway, it's coming together. I've got all these little post-it notes which seem to be quite useful for like making little headers and things like that, like little bold titles.
They're especially for books, aren't they?
Yeah, they're really handy.
You must be a really good reader.
If you get into zine making, one thing that does happen is you start to save all the scraps of paper you've ever owned. Because you're like, oh, that'd be really good to put in a zine, and then you like have this mound of things that you probably never use.
I'm gonna do a page on embodied learning. Just
like that. Oh, that's so good.
I've just hit upon an idea. I don't know whether it's very original or not, but with my book history class, I got them to, as the presentation, to deconstruct, like pull apart a book. So in a way, it's almost like undoing history in a bit. Don't know.
I think so.
Yeah.
I really like that. That's a cool like phrasing, undoing history. That's really neat. Also,
Thank you.
My university, Liverpool John Moores, has the largest collection of zines because it has the punk archive there from John Savage. And I really loved when, because I always showed them to students, even though, you know, as a 19th centuryist, they're not 19th century at all. But it's really fascinating, the materiality of them. So like we've been shown ones where like the front cover was made out of sandpaper, with the idea that if you put it on your bookshelf and you took it off the bookshelf too often, you're actually destroying the books around you. And I just think that's kind of really cool, like in sort of the idea of like it being a material product.
I think that's another reason why zines are coming back, because you can't capture that sort of thing like online. Like the ideas like isn't just some words or pictures and some paper.
I feel like I've read somewhere recently that said that apparently like say like our students' generation now are more analog than their parents were, because they're far more interested in like say vinyls, in like having books and moving away from like the digital and back into the
because they didn't have it growing up as
Yeah.
much. Whereas like the generation before, where technology was like, this is the new thing.
My students are never happier than when I say, oh, we're going to do some drawing. Genuinely. Right, and get the pens out and they love it, and it's incredible to see actually.